Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So Revelation 13, the beast out of the sea. Remember, the beast symbolizes an alliance of kings. The beast is a king, the heads, the horns, they're kings. Okay. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and the sea is the people, right? Your body is like 60% water, 80% water or something. And the sea, okay, is, has to do with the birth waters, right? The sea, your birth, right? Ship being birthed, okay? Maritime admiralty law, marriage time, admire, admiralty law, okay? These are the law of the devil, okay? The law of the high seas, pirates, row men, row your boat, what have you, okay? So the dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast come out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads with 10 crowns on his horns, and on each head a blasphemous name. See Revelation 12:3. Okay, which goes back to um, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. So these are satanic kings, and they're satanic kingdoms or satanic spirits. Okay, and a blasphemous name. Okay, the beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. The dragon gave the beast his power, his throne, and great authority. And this goes back to various scriptures, like people running away from a bear and running into a lion, and so on and so forth. So the lion can have a good meaning in the Bible, can have an evil meaning. It's about context and so on and so forth. So basically, it's just an evil, blasphemous abomination mixed with different people of the world, right? There was a lot of mixing, right? Mixed in more than one way. Some are multiracial, some are just an alliance of people who are seen as having one race, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's a mix, it's an alliance, it's globalism, what have you. Okay, of course, nationalism is evil too, because the nations are evil, and my kingdom's not of this world, and so on and so forth. All right. The dragon gave the beast his power, his throne, and great authority. So they're empowered by the devil, right? Satanic empowerment. So as females talking about, they're empowered. They're evil, right? Empower, scrambled is me, power, right? And the snake in the garden said, "Ye should be like gods if you worship the devil, right? You eat the fruit of wickedness, the fruit of the schemes, right?" See Proverbs 1. They're filled with the fruit of deception, the fruit of their schemes, the fruit of psychology, chemistry, the occult sciences, the sciences of the world, worldliness, what have it. Okay. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have had a fatal wound, but the wound had been healed. This takes us back to Isaiah 1. I'm just going to read a few verses from there, put it into context. Isaiah 1:4. Woe to the sinful nation, Israel, obviously, a people whose guilt is great, a brood of evildoers, children given to corruption. They have forsaken the Lord, they have spurned the Holy One of Israel, and turned their backs on him. Why should you be beaten any more? Why do you persist in rebellion? Your whole head is injured and your whole heart afflicted. So the main problem is that they're rebelling against the Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. Right before Abraham, I am. Before Abraham, Nimrod was a mighty warrior before God. Okay? And before Abraham, really, the descendants of Shem really weren't doing anything. Okay? So Ham and Nimrod were chosen. Okay? Nimrod and Canaan can be seen like Cain and Abel. Okay? Nimrod is able to be a mighty warrior before the Lord. Canaan is Cain, and they go into homosexuality and acting like sissies and so on and so forth. And after the Jews take their land, they take on a lot of their gay gods, Baal, bisexual Baal, so on and so forth. And so they're referred to as a nation of Sodom. We'll get to that. So why should you be beaten anymore? Why do you persist in rebellion? Your whole head is injured, your whole heart afflicted, right? Their heart are calloused. They have wicked hearts, they have deceitful hearts. Okay, from the sole of your foot to the top of your head, there is no soundness, only wounds and welts and open sores, not cleansed or bandaged or soothed with olive oil. Going down to verse 9. Unless the Lord Almighty who left us some survivors, unless the Lord Almighty had left us some survivors, we would have become like Sodom, we would have been like Gomorrah. Hear the word of the Lord, you rulers of Sodom. Listen to the instruction of our God, you people of Gomorrah. Okay, so after I'm gone, the world is a bunch of sodomites, spiritually. Doesn't matter if they do gay sex or not. That's why there's such a massive gender-neutral movement, because it's transforming into a place that's sealed, the realm of the dead. The wicked go down to the realm of the dead. All the nations that forget God, all the nations didn't put God first and accept being screened out by the wicked nations. So they're going down to the realm of the dead like cowards, like punks, wussies, what have you. Okay, the whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. Okay, the whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshiped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshiped the beast and asked, who is like the beast? Who can wage war against him? Again, who can wage war against the beast, right? Because of this technology. So they knew that the technology was going to improve, and they didn't know that there was going to be bombs and stuff, but they knew that they had, catapults that fired little ball-bearing-like objects that, acted like bullets, and they were striking through buildings and striking people down. There was all kind of Greek fire and all this stuff, so they knew that this stuff was coming about. Some of this stuff was there already, and they knew that the trajectory of technology made it so that the nations of the world would have more control, and the way that cults operated and advancing psychology made it so they had more control. So they said, hey, this is going to come to a head, and the people are going to be, filled with awe and say, wow, that's cool technology. Wow, cool science, right? And that the world would be screwed, and they would be bred to be dumb. So they would ask stupid questions like, who can wage war against these nations, right? You'd lose if you try to take them on. Look at these tanks. Look at these drones. Look at these robots, right? Instead of taking God's side. So there's a bunch of people bred to be dumber than a doorknob. Okay, they don't have the wisdom of God, the sound judgment that comes with the Spirit of God, so on and so forth, right? So the difference between some kind of geek scientist with a PhD who follows the devil and the master Royal African Falcon martial artist who lives by the principles of wisdom and moral precision and so on and so forth. All right, so the nations of the world, especially America, the UK, Israel, and Russia, etc., obviously it doesn't make sense to say it is just Russia, because obviously NATO can wage war against it. So how can America say, well, that's the other nations, and who can wage war against them, right, when obviously NATO can, right? NATO alliance is more powerful than Russia and its few allies and so on and so forth. So it's all of them. All right, so where we're here. The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, and to exercise his authority for 42 months. It opens its mouth to blaspheme God and to slander his name and his dwelling place and those who live in them. It was given power to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them, and it was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose name have not been written in the Lamb's book of life. The Lamb was slain from the creation of the world. From the creation of the world. So it says, every time a righteous person comes, like Cain and Abel, Cain and Abel is symbolic of evil. People keep killing the good people, and females keep prostituting themselves instead of doing what Juliet did or fighting to the death. I think in a lot of situations, if you're a female with a little dagger, you're probably just going to get that dagger taken away from you. You're going to get raped and tied up and abused and so on and so forth, and drugged, and they're going to try to turn you. So in that situation, they're better off killing themselves. So one way or another, they didn't do what Juliet did. And Romeo and Juliet is about love. Romeo, Rome, E-O, Jew, lie, T, right? So don't believe the lie and be willing to die for love. The Bible says God is love, and so on and so forth. And obviously God is much more than love, depending on how you define love. All right, so whoever has ears, let them hear. If anyone is to go into captivity they will go. If anyone is killed, some manuscripts say anyone kills with a sword they will be killed. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of God's people. So you live by the sword of Scripture, you die by the sword of Scripture. So you're going to be killed for God. If anyone's going to go into Babylonian captivity because they submitted to the devil into captivity, they will go. So it's asking for patience and to wait, to get your reward in heaven. Why people go to sleep, right? When you sleep, you have a certain peace. It says so you trust in God that when you rest from your work, that God will deliver you to paradise. Okay, instead of living an evil, pitiful life and being complicit with all the horrible things in the world. So here, this part gets interesting, right? There's a beast out of the sea, and there's a beast out of the earth, right? The earth is evil, right? Satan is the god of this world, right? And so one way to interpret Revelation 12, when the earth swallows the water, is those who are satanic, because they're evil. They had sex with the devil, and now they're giving birth, right, spiritually and otherwise, to evil. So the beast out of the earth, right? Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. Revelation 12:3 and Revelation 13:1-3 about the horns, if you want to explore that more. It sacrifices itself for evil. Okay? So that's why it has a lamb, right? It's like a satanic sacrifice for evil. And you see these New Age people talking about the cult of self-sacrifice, and they're sacrificing people for the, and they're getting them to do shootings and kill themselves in a way that's demonic and so on and so forth for the greater evil cause. 12. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast whose fatal wound had been healed. And it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in the full view of people. Okay, so they're doing magic tricks, right? They're saying, hey, I'm going to control when this guy starts saying these things, right? Torah, ra, right? And rate, okay? Rate, reproductive cycle rate, the rate of performing deeds, which is neither here nor there. If in battle somebody denies you an area, and then you go to another area and wage war from them against them there, that's not them controlling it. But if they're immature, they're like, well, I'm going to make it so they're going to have to attack this way. Watch, open sesame, go ye that way, right? So they're on that kind of bitch shit. That's one way to interpret this. 14. Because of the signs, it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast. It deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword, yet lived. The second beast was given power to breathe, given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that he, the image of the first beast, so the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. So your image, right? How you look, what you wear, how you move, how you think, right? The image first and foremost is from the inside, right? First clean the inside of the cup and dish, and the outside will be clean. That's why when they change my shape and my look to some degree, you can still look at me and see the image of God. You just see a thin layer of confusion. Now, don't confuse this with a lot of people. I've seen some Filipina females in the past. They look kind of nice and innocent-ish. That's not the image of God. That is people who are gullible and naive. So don't confuse nice with righteous, right? God's image is mighty. It does the right thing. Okay, by their works, by their deeds, by their actions. If they're a nice little chick, who looks a little pretty and so on and so forth, and conforms to the devil, they're in the spirit of the devil. Doubt it not. Okay, as the satanic masons would say, right? Doubt it not. Anyway, so the second image was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. Again, that goes back to the works, right? What you think, what you do, right? The right hand of God versus the right hand of the devil, the mighty arm of God versus the despicable beta arm of the devil, and so on and so forth. A beast is beta scrambled, brute beast also, what have you, right? The military brutes, and some of them are betas these days, kind of mix the two together at times, and so on and so forth. So that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Okay, so they're saying, hey, not only is it hard to buy and sell things, but they also make it so that you can't truly do the works of God, right, in a way that people can see, okay, unless, and the argument being made here, obviously, look, there is no accepting the mark of the beast if you're good, period. There's no accepting it, okay? You don't accept it. But what they're saying here is that if you start doing it the devil's way, you can perform some works that seem to be of God, okay? So this calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, or humanity's number. This is a very important part, okay? It's a number of man or humanity's number. It's people in general in rebellion against God, right? 666, right? The beast. The dragon empowers the beast. It's ultimately the dragon spirit. But King Solomon collected 666 talents of gold. Mark is a root word for Mercury, a deity of trade, commerce, merchants, and guiding souls to the underworld, that the Greeks and Romans were well aware of. 6 is sex in Latin. Okay. Proverbs 8 says wisdom is said to be there when God set the heavens in place and marked out the horizon on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above and fixed securely the fountains of the deep. Okay, so the clouds, right? Again, the clouds is a gathering of righteousness. Jesus coming back on the clouds, the warrior spirit of God. So what is their war spirit? What is their sex spirit? What is humanity's rebellious spirit, right? How do they have sex? Eros, erotic desire, psychology, the psychological construct. What is their war spirit, right? Their profane martial arts, right? Ki, the earth deity, right? Moving their chi energy, ki energy. Okay, American martial arts, military, police, governors, corporation, people feeling bad, right? So everyone else, how they move, their spirit, their essence, their dominating principle, their prevailing tendency, their inclinations. That's the mark of the beast. Okay. And again, it says, all who fail to